Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to TDC.
It's a pleasure to be here today.
So this is one of the reasons I love Menti, because you can actually...
It's your time. Show us that video.
Memory is really important.
Teaching is the best profession because we are resilient.
Hopefully you can see how you can change this.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome back. Welcome to all our teachers who have joined us from all over Peru, from Bolivia and Brazil. Welcome the teachers from Mexico, from Cuba, and also the teachers from the Philippines and Egypt. Welcome back to our final block of TDC 2021, organized by SBS Librería Internacional. So on behalf of SBS Librería Internacional, we would like to thank you for your virtual attendance at this event. And this afternoon, we have two very interesting conferences to close with. Remember that you can write your questions in the chat box and they will be answered at the end of each of the presentations. So to start the afternoon, we have the video from our organizers, SBS Librería Internacional. Let's go, team.
En SBS, Librería Internacional, estamos comprometidos con la educación y la difusión de la cultura a través de materiales físicos y digitales. Somos una de las cadenas más grandes de Sudamérica, orientada a producir y distribuir libros de idiomas, académicos y de interés general, así como bibliografía clásica e imprescindible. Hemos consolidado nuestra presencia en Perú con librerías ubicadas estratégicamente en los departamentos de Lima, Cusco, Arequipa, Trujillo, Piura, Chiclayo, Iquitos y Huancayo. Además de una librería online, donde presentamos una gran variedad de títulos que podrás recibir desde la comodidad de tu hogar, gracias a nuestro servicio de delivery a nivel nacional. SBS, Librería Internacional. 25 años comprometidos con la calidad educativa y la difusión de la cultura en el Perú. Soluciones para quien enseña y para quien aprende.
Okay, so let's start this afternoon session by giving a warm welcome to Oxford University Press. Oxford University Press advances knowledge and learning, from a child reading their first words to a researcher expanding the frontiers of their field. The possibilities are endless. Established in the earliest days of printing and throughout their 400-year history, they have always been home to the inquisitive, the passionate, and the ambitious. Now, let's learn a little bit more about Oxford University Press by watching this short video. Let's go, team.
Learning underpin the progress we make as individuals and as a society. When we know more, we can solve new problems and explore fresh possibilities. For hundreds of years, Oxford University Press has been committed to sharing the best in human thinking. From a child reading their very first words to a researcher expanding the frontiers of their field, we passionately believe in the transformative power of knowledge and learning to inspire progress and realize human potential. But the world is changing. When all information is at our fingertips, data needs understanding. As content crowds every screen, ideas need space to breathe. And when the next great thinker can come from anywhere, they need to be seen. So Oxford University Press is changing too. Whether we're making learning work for anyone, anywhere, anytime, connecting a global community of English language learners, or helping influential ideas achieve greatest impact, we will meet the needs of education and research in new ways, with new ideas for new audiences. For as long as the world keeps making progress, we will always be advancing knowledge and learning. Oxford University Press. Advancing knowledge and learning.
Excellent. Now I want to welcome our first speaker of the afternoon, the renowned international speaker, Gustavo Gonzalez, with the topic, We're Still Standing. Gustavo Gonzalez is an international English teacher and teacher educator from Argentina. He holds a postgraduate degree from the National University of Buenos Aires, a postgraduate diploma in education and new technologies, Facultad Latinoamericana de Ciencias Sociales, and a diploma in neurosciences for educators, Asociación Educar, and the National University of Buenos Aires. He has been working as a teacher, school coordinator, teacher trainer, and presenter since 1993. He has been delivering seminars and workshops all over Argentina, South, Central, and North America, China, Spain, and Singapore as a freelancer for Oxford University Press and Trinity College London. He is a former vice president of APIBA, the Buenos Aires English Teachers Association, and former vice president of FAPI, the Argentine Federation of English Teachers Association. Welcome to TDC, Gustavo.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you very much for this kind introduction. And thank you, everybody. Hello, everybody. How are you? On behalf of Oxford University Press, I want to thank you all for choosing to be here on this closing segment of this TDC organized by CBS it's our 23rd year in a row that you organize this conference, this time virtually. So thank you, Oxford University Press, for making this possible and for having me as a speaker. What is my proposal for today, teachers? I would like to share with you just 1 hour of ideas and basically revalidating our role as teachers in the times of this pandemic that has been hitting us since March 2020. So if we if you're willing to accompany me on this journey, on this 60-minute journey, I would like you to start my presentation. So let's go, Team SBS. Are we ready? Great. So we are still standing. That's my personal email address. And below you have my Instagram address, just in case you want to get in touch with me. I will be more than happy to do it. So what are the aims of my presentation? What are my ideas for today? First, I would like to have a very quick look at what we have been going through since March 2020. Second, I would like to reflect upon our role as educators during this pandemic. I would like to share some thoughts and conclusions, but also some ideas you may want to implement in your lessons. That's why you may be needing your cell phones or your iPads or your tablets or your computers to interact with my presentation, because it's going to be as interactive as possible. That's my idea. And then the last objective for my presentation is to celebrate that in spite of, and why not, because of this pandemic, we are still standing. So let me start by asking you to watch a very short video of one of my favorite series ever. I am a real fan of Friends. I hope you're familiar with this American sitcom, Friends, and that you enjoy it as much as I do. And this is a compilation of scenes from Friends, talking about a little bit of what we have been going through. Let's enjoy this opening video.
It's the year 2020 and the year of Joey.
Come on, let's start running. Let's go! Oh my God.
Phone's done.
Would it be okay if I cleaned it? No? Wash your hands!
Inside, good. Outside, bad.
I'm fine. Totally fine. Why? Why me? Why do bad things happen to good people?
Monica, how did this happen? I thought you had this all planned out. Do you want me to cry? Is that what you want? Do you want to see me cry?
What's my little chef got for me tonight?
Your favorite.
Fried stuff with cheese.
United States garrison in Fort Sumter was fired upon.
Just kept getting worse and worse. It should have been called It's a Sucky Life. And just when you think it can't suck anymore, it does.
This year was supposed to be great.
And the year goes on and on and on. And not only 2020, we are just almost finishing 2021, and we're still in the midst of this pandemic that has hit us all in different ways, And I think that in spite of all the things that we have been going through, it's high time we celebrated our role as teachers. Because for me, this is very important. What we have done as teachers, it's amazing, guys. It's amazing. But the thing is that, I don't know, I have the second dose of the vaccine. I got my second jab already, and I'm more relaxed. But I have been inside my apartment, for years on end, for months on end, without even seeing the light of day. And little by little, we got used to doing this and teaching online. So my question is, if I show you this plot here, this graph here, this pie chart that says 90% and 20%, can you make any connections? What can you think of the moment you see this pie chart? What do you think 90% of represents, And what do you think 10% represents? Any ideas on the chat box? Let me see if you would like to share something, or if not, I will tell you in a couple of seconds. It has to do with a lot with something that we have experienced, right? Let me see if I have some comments on the chat box. Let me see. Okay, wow. Okay. Jose say, thank God we could teach online. 90% population learning online. Carmen, thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's a nice, really nice guess. Yeah, that most of our students, right, are learning online. And some people, Marcela says, 90% inside, 10% outside. Fantastic. And let me tell you something. Right now, what I'm doing, I'm just brainstorming different ideas. I am eliciting your ideas. And this is something that I always tell teachers, and I always put into practice. When we're brainstorming, there are no right or wrong answers. All the answers are valid. Why? Because you are making a connection to what you already know, to your ideas. So I have no right to tell you that your contributions are wrong because they don't match my idea for the task, right? So all your contributions are valid. But in my case, what I want to be sharing with you is that 90% of life is how you react to that 10% of what happens to us. So, rephrasing, life is 10% what happens to us and 90% how we react to that 90%. And it's very important that we start assimilating and coming to terms with this idea, which is the 90-10 principle developed by Stephen Covey. The author of many books, but one of the books you may be familiar with is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and also 4 Things First. What does Stephen Covey say about the 90-10 principle? That 10% of our life is related to external facts. The other 90% is determined, and I truly believe in this, is determined by the way we react to those events. Let me go back to this concept. 10% of our life is related to external events, and the other 90% is determined by the way we react to those events. Let me clarify this with an example. We can't control the weather. We can't control public transport or what other people do. We just simply can't. We can't control a pandemic here in the world. Am I right? These are external events that are beyond our reach and represent the 10% of what happens in our life. So, conversely, what we can control is the way we decide to react to them, how we react to them, which will affect the remaining 90% of your life. Not your life, sorry, of our life. So, it is our attitude about how to face the world and everything that happens in it that determines our reaction and, in the end, our happiness. So, let me give you an exercise. I would like you to with a pen in hand, pen and piece of paper in hand, I would like you to turn the letters of the word attitude into numbers. So, letter A, what number represents letter A? Number 1. What number represents letter T? You go to number 20. So, I would like you to transform the word attitude in numbers and then add them up. What is the total result of summing up each letter of the word attitude? Okay, so let's see if you can come up with a math equation in this English webinar. So by now you should be replacing each letter of the word attitude by one of the numbers you see below the letters. Once you have each letter replaced by a number, I would like you to add up all the numbers, and I would like to know what the result is. for attitude. Let's see if I have some comments. Okay, some people are saying 90, some people are saying 100. 100. Okay, you're doing the math. Okay, you do the math. Great, fantastic. Okay, apparently most of the answers are 100, and in this case, there's only one possible answer, and the answer is 100. Exactly. So what do I mean by this? That attitude to our life and work makes our life 100% worth it. It's our attitude what will determine our life and our sense of happiness. Fantastic. I can see all the numbers here, and we got to 100. Attitude is everything. So guys, you will be agreeing with me that in the light of this pandemic, all of a sudden, the use of digital technologies and apps is not a choice anymore. Somehow, they have saved the school year, and I would say the school years, including this current year. And this is a question that I'm going to pose to you all. Who was there to do it all with attitude and determination, yet full of uncertainty? We were there. We, the teachers, we were the ones, right? Like making history. We are the ones making history alongside with our students. So again, what is our attitude towards the incorporation of digital technologies? Well, if it weren't for digital technologies, I wouldn't be sharing this webinar on this TDC from the comfort of my home here in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Yeah. So guys, this is for me very important. We can have the greatest technology, but we don't have to forget that before technology comes pedagogy, right? And this is our strong suit. This is what we will excel at because we are teachers and we know how to teach. So we have to find a way to incorporate digital technologies to our teaching. So it is our attitude towards technology alongside with our skills and our knowledge that will make all the difference, right? Our attitude, skills, and knowledge will make all the difference. So let me share with you just something that I hope you consider it for the incorporation of digital technologies to your teaching, which is just one model that you may want to consider is the Pickrat Model designed by Kimmons back in 2018. The Pickrat Model. Have you ever heard of this? Have you heard of this Pickrat Model before? If you have, it's always nice to revisit the concepts. If you haven't, I would be very happy to share what I know, just a little touch on the Pickrat Model for you to have to ignite your curiosity and see if you would like to do more research and put it into practice in our lessons. So great. The Pickrat Model is a very, very recently developed technology integration model whose framework assumes that there are only two foundational questions that a teacher must ask himself or herself about any technology used in their classrooms. Okay? So let me take you to these two questions. First question, what is the student's relationship to the technology we will be using? And the second question is, how is the teacher's use of the chosen technology influencing traditional practice? These are the two foundational questions that I mentioned before. What is the student's relationship to the technology we will be using? And how is the teacher's use of the chosen technology influencing traditional practice? The first question that I have just shared with you addresses the PIC part of the model. And PIC are three letters that stand for passive, interactive, and creative. What is the student's relationship to the technology? Will they be passive? Will they be interacting? Or will they be creating something with technology? So, what do you expect from the second question? The second question will address the second part of the Pickrat model, which is rats, the role of the teacher. So the R stands for what is the teacher going to do with the technology? Is going to replace, amplify, or transform. These are the key elements of the Pickrat model: passive, interactive, and creative on the part of the students, and replacing, amplifying, and transforming on the role of how the teacher will use technology in his or her teaching. I'm not saying that one is better than the other, but I would rather go for CT, that the students are really creating something with technology or interacting, and on the role of the teacher using technology to amplify or to transform learning. So if you're very visual, here you have a clear axis, a plot where you can see here on the horizontal axis the rat part of the model, and on the vertical axis the pick part of the model. What I was saying before, my aim is I try to make my classes as CT as possible, as creative and transforming as possible. So if you want, you can take a picture of the slide right now, because I'm going to give you like 2 different scenarios for you to apply or to start applying this new concept we are sharing here, right? So let me give you 2 examples. Oh, sorry, maybe you didn't have enough time to take a picture or maybe take notes on the Pickrat, but I trust you that you have. So what elements of the Pickrat model do you think are addressed in these 2 examples I'm about to share with you? Situation number 1. A teacher creates a video to introduce himself or herself to his or her students on the first day of class. A teacher creates a video to introduce himself to his students on the first day of class. Scenario number 2. Students make an animated video to tell a story. I'm all eyes and to read your comments and your guesses on the chat box. Let's see, what elements of the Pickrat model do you think are being addressed in these 2 different scenarios? Okay, somebody saying PR. Let's see if you remember. P stands for passive, and R stands for replacing. Okay, somebody here is saying CT for that was for number 1. Sorry, that was for number 1. CT. They are 2 different scenarios, so the answers may vary here. Okay, somebody here AT for number 2. Fantastic, like amplifying, and transforming. But be careful, because AT are 2 letters of the same question. You should incorporate 1 letter from the pick part of the model for question number 1, and 1 letter from the second part of the model, from the rats. So AT would be like a kind of a little bit inconsistent, because it's just only on the teacher's role on incorporating technology. So let me give you a suggested answer. The first scenario could be PR or PA. If I create a video to make the class more like fun or something, that's great. But the students are very passive, and we need to foster interaction as much as we can, not only for online learning, but also for on face-to-face learning, on on-site teaching. Now we are resuming our activities at school. So this is one of the possible answers, suggested answers, I would say. And for the second situation, yes, students make an animated video to tell a story. That's a completely different story, because the students are creating something with technology. They are doing something. They are being autonomous in using technology to learn English. And then what I'm doing with that particular technology I have chosen? I am amplifying or even transforming the task, right? And I think it's very important because we cannot keep doing what we were doing in the past. So let me share with you a little short video in which a university professor is talking a little bit about the incorporation of the Pickrat model into our teaching.
Richard Culotta, former director of the Office of Educational Technology for the U.S. Department of Education, shared the following concern.
Here's the issue. If we are not careful, if we are not super cautious about all the decisions we make, in a very short amount of time, by the time the freshmen that are in this room have graduated, we will have a complete digital replica of the traditional practices that are not working today. And we will have everything that we have now. It will just be on a screen instead of on paper, and it will be just as ineffective, and it will cost a whole lot of money, and we'll be just as stuck as we will, and not have another ticket to play to be able to make a change.
Our goal is to help you think critically about the technology you'll use in your classroom, and to begin to see the potential technology has to transform and engage students in the learning experience in new ways.
Okay, short, straight to the point. The professor is clearly stating that we cannot replicate what we were doing in the old school. Yeah, there's no point in just using technology just to replace our old habits. Yes, on teaching before this pandemic, right? So we have to find a way, yeah, to make our lessons incorporate technology meaningful, learning, and hopefully fun, because you will remember much more what you're learning when you're enjoying it and when you're having fun. So let me ask you a question. Are you familiar with EdPuzzle? Have you ever heard of this EdPuzzle? Let me see your comments on the chat box. It's just a yes or a no. If you haven't heard of it, right? Do you have any idea what EdPuzzle, because of the name, may represent or may imply? Okay, great. Oh, some people are saying no. Great, so I can give you something new. I like when I can share part of my research with you guys. EdPuzzle is a website, yeah, where you can create interactive video lessons in 3 easy steps. Interactive video lessons in 3 easy steps. So you can access www.edpuzzle.com, yeah, and you can, it's not that you create videos. You can create your video, but you upload a video, as I'm going to explain now, but you make the video interactive. You make it maybe more educational. So the first step is you can find a video on YouTube. You can upload your own video or reuse a video lesson created by another teacher on the site, on edpuzzle.com. Number 2, you can edit the video to create your own lesson. This is fantastic because you can even record your voice to personalize it. And you can hold your students accountable by embedding questions in the video. And the last step is assign the video to your students and check their progress in real time while they learn at their own pace, helping them to be more autonomous. So this is what we're going to be doing right now. I'm going to invite you to explore the tool a little bit. I don't know if everybody will be doing it, so for the ones who are not going to do the activity, I will show the activity myself here on the presentation. But for the ones who want to do it, yes, I'm going to invite Team SBS to share the link on the chat box for participants to access, right, the activity. When you access this activity, right, you will find a link. You will click on the link and you will see how user-friendly it is. It's a listening comprehension activity based on a song. For the ones who are not going to do it, I'm going to show it myself here. So Team ABS, I'm going to share the screen. I'm going to leave the presentation right now, and I'm going to move to edpuzzle.com. So I keep explaining, yes, sorry. So I keep explaining this to the participants, yeah, for the ones who are not doing it on their own. Okay, so, okay, let me go back here. Team SBS, are we ready to start with the activity? What you can see here is the video on edpuzzle.com. Do you see this timeline here below the video? And you can see like some raindrops. I'm pointing here. Well, those raindrops on the timeline are my interventions to the video. So I'm going to play the video, and when you get to that raindrop, I call it raindrop, the video will stop, and on the right, it will the multiple choice exercise will pop up. Let me show you how it works. The song is called I Built a Friend, and it's by Alexander Benjamin. And the video stops, and then you have the interactive part. And my question is, what did he not use to build his friend? A pencil, a pen, or plastic? Oh, I don't remember what the song says. So what happens? You click on rewatch, and you play. So, what did he not use to build his friend? I built a friend with 2 pieces of plastic and a pen. He mentioned plastic, he mentioned pen. He did not use a pencil. So you click on pencil, you click there. When you click there, you submit the answer, and you see here that the answer is okay. He didn't use a pencil. So once you have the activity, you click on continue, and the activity continues. But remember that everybody is doing the activity at home, at their own pace. Some people, I hope some people are doing it. I'm just illustrating how the activity works, right? So let me show you how the video continues. I click on continue, click. Where do they live? In an apartment, in a house, or on a boat? In a house, some people are saying here. In a house. Okay. Did you hear that? No, but maybe I'm just asking a question based on the visuals presented on the video. And yes, and that gives a sense of achievement. Yeah, maybe I didn't understand the words, but I was able to answer the question, and you help the students build self-confidence. You submit the answer, and then that's perfect in a house. And let's go to the last one. Continue. Question is, they got bored together, they didn't spend much time together, or they loved spending time with each other. And I'm sure most of you would say they loved spending time with each other. I submit the answer, and that's okay. And that's the end of the activity. It was just to illustrate this. They love, Alexander, they love spending time together. So you see how, what is what I have done with the Pickrat model here? Yeah? I think that the students are really interacting. They are not creating. This is not a C. This is the I from the pick. And what about this? What have I done as a teacher with technology? I have somehow amplified or even transformed the activity, right? So, Team SBS, can we go back to the presentation? I'm going to change the slide here, and I'm going to go back to my presentation. Yeah? Yes, and I share with you this slide where you have www.edpuzzle.com. I hope you can put it into practice. Give it a try, so you will see how much students and yourselves will enjoy working with this tool. Okay, I've been talking for almost 30 minutes non-stop. So guys, I think it's time for a brain break. Brain breaks are fantastic tools, necessary tools, vital tools for our students and for ourselves. A brain break is a very short activity that may have nothing to do with, with what the students were learning in that particular class, but it's something that will take their brains off the topic. And so what happens? By doing something completely different, your brain will get more oxygen, your neurons will get more oxygen, and you will have more, like 15, 20 minutes more to keep paying sustained attention, focusing on the attention. So our brain break is a kind of breathing mystery. I'm not asking this question, but I will tell you that you can see blue dots going back and forth crazily on the slide, right? Moving back and forth, not following one direction or another, right? Great. What I'm going to ask you to do for this brain break is I'm going to ask you to take slow breath in and release the air, yeah, slowly. And you will see that when you are inhaling, slowly taking air in, you will make the blue dots go in one particular direction. And when you exhale, when you breathe out slowly, the blue dots will go on the opposite direction. So, brain break. 1 minute, less than 1 minute. Let's see if you can do this activity to see if you can make the blue dots change, if you can manipulate the dots. Is it working? It is, right? It is. It's a breathing mystery. It's a breathing mystery. But now, by doing this very simple activity, you have 20 minutes more of sustained attention to go through the rest of my presentation, right? So let me move on to the rest of the presentation. So do you remember this slide almost at the beginning of the presentation when I was talking about attitude and how important attitude is for life, for work, and for everything we do? Attitude. Great. So let's analyze a little bit what we have done so far. As teachers, I think that we haven't freaked out. We've gone a long way adapting and adjusting our method of instruction overnight. Nobody taught us how to teach online in times of a pandemic. I know, maybe you may have been doing some remote teaching, or maybe you do, but it's not the same to be doing remote teaching, right, as doing remote teaching in a pandemic, where you're spending hours on end in front of your computer, maybe in the same place in your apartment, in your house, right? And we have to find a way to keep our students engaged, yeah, and learning, yeah. And so hopefully we haven't freaked out. Here we are, we're still standing and doing things to make our students enjoy the learning. What else have we done so far? We have taken the situation as it is, and we have reframed our methods of instruction in the present and maybe future of instruction in record time. So we are, I don't know, I don't want to brag, sorry, but I think that we are heroes, teachers. We are heroes here. We have done a lot. Pamela, here you're saying we are heroes. Yeah, I just said it. Thank you, Pamela, for bringing this up here on the chat box. What else have we done? We have seen this crisis maybe as an opportunity and as a tearing down and rebuilding of traditional teaching. And we have shown adaptability and hands-on attitude to make the best of the situation to favor our students. And let me go back to what I said before, in record time. And we are still learning, and we will still keep learning. I mean, this is not over yet, yeah? And we are learning alongside our students. This is collaborative work, yeah? And this is great because we have to assume and admit our, I don't know, insecurities, and maybe the thing that I'm not sure how to use technology, but I have to do it anyway. So, what has lockdown taught us? It may have taught us how to use technology. Yes, or it's still teaching us how to teach using digital technologies. I think it has taught us the importance of collaborative work. Yeah, I think that it has taught us so many things. But most of all, I think that has taught something that is not content related, that is not syllabus designed. I think that here, what lockdown has taught us is that we can do it. We can do it, right? So I think that lockdown has taught us, yes, Jocelyn, empathy. Empathy is my number one learning. Yeah, the idea of how empathic we need to be, yeah, with our students and with our peers. Yeah, the shutdown has also taught us about collaboration. Lockdown has also taught us about adaptability. As Joseph, no, here was somebody was saying, Natalie was saying something about adaptability and how to adapt. Lockdown has taught us about this mindset, yeah, a change of mindset. And you know what? I think, and I'm going to go back to this last concept in a few minutes. I think that what lockdown has taught us is that we are all in this together. We are all in this together. So I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you. And as I was just saying the importance of applying the Pickrat model in our classes, I'm going to invite you now to be my students, and I would like you to access, right, from your devices, this site that I'm sure most of you are familiar with. So from your cell phone, laptop, desktop computer, yeah, tablet, iPad, I would like you to access menti.com, right? Once you're there, you will have to enter the code that I will show you on the next slide, but you can see right now at the bottom of this slide, this is the 8-digit number that you will need to use to access the activity, right? And I would like you to submit only three words or short phrases that, in your personal opinion, answer this question. What has lockdown taught us? So, Team SBS, if you give me some seconds, I'm going to move away from the presentation, right? And I'm going to go to Menti. .com for you to share the activity. Okay, Team SBS, I'm ready for participants. I'm ready to see what participants are contributing with. So what I would like you to do is to use that number in menti.com, 6476-0326. And together we're going to work collaboratively, and we're going to create a word cloud with your own personal contributions in answer or in response to this question. What has lockdown taught us? By now, I imagine that you are accessing menti.com, providing or submitting the 8-digit number that you can see on top of the slide now, and that you're typing your answers. Remember, only three short answers, just single words or very short phrases on what you feel or what you think or what you know lockdown has taught us. I love this. Flexibility, patience, ICT skills, become creative, adaptability, tech skills as well. Oh my God, importance of family. Fantastic. Importance of family. Okay, resilience. Fantastic. Let's see. To be in peace, to become creative. Okay, let me see. To be in peace. Interactions, effort, creativity, proactivity, adapt, curiosity, effort, patience. Oh my God, great. Great. Okay. Again, somehow in this webinar that I'm sharing with you, I am putting into practice the Pickrat model. You are interacting, and I am amplifying, the task. I am even transforming, because we're working collaboratively from the comfort of our homes. And you can see that everybody's doing it at their own pace. And everybody is mastering the activity. Let's talk about autonomy. Let's talk about learner autonomy then. I don't know if you realize, if you're not familiar with this tool, but some words here from your contributions are bigger than the rest. That means that the more times you produce, or the more times the word is submitted, the higher or the bigger the size will it will be. So you see that most people, or many people, are saying that empathy, patience, and resilience, adaptability, flexibility, collaboration, creativity, and technology and curiosity are somehow the kings or the queens of our workload on in response to what lockdown has taught us. Thank you very much for your contributions. And Team SBS, can we resume the presentation? I'm gonna go back to the presentation. I know that you will keep providing some answers, but let me go back to the presentation, yes, just to resume the activity. So, okay. Remember what I said about what has lockdown taught us and we did in the activity, yes? I saw this picture, which is an illustration by Barbara Kelly, and this automatically made me make a connection to a phrase I've been hearing all throughout this presentation, saying like, we are all in this storm together. Sorry, no, they're saying we're all in the same boat. That's what many people have been saying. We're all in the same boat. But I would just quote Damian Barr, who said, no, guys, we are not all in the same boat. We are all in the same storm. Some are on super yachts, and some have just the one oar to do this. So we are not all in the same boat. We are all in the same storm, and our attitude, no matter where we are, is what we somehow has saved us, right? So, what is what we have done so far? We've had to transform our private, personal space into a working space. We are 24/7 in front of our computers in our homes. We have to unlearn and relearn our own teaching practices in a complete virtual environment in the blink of an eye, overnight. We had to face the music and attempt to manage a reality we didn't choose. We didn't choose to be doing this. We had to. There was no way out. That was part of the 10% of what happens in our life. But our 90% is what made and has been making all the difference. We had to face criticism, uninterest, disinterest, disqualifications, complaints, to name a few. I can make the list like really, really long. We had to work more than ever before in a reality which is brand new to most of us here. So these are the things that we have to do. And yet, we are still standing. And yet, we're still standing. And so, I am very musical. I love music, and I cannot conceive my classes or my webinars or my presentations without using music. So, I have to resort to a last video, and I would like to share this video with you as a kind of just enjoy it and pay attention to the lyrics and to what this group of students say about this. Yeah, it's not, of course, about the pandemic, but I think that we can make a connection to Elton John's song, I'm Still Standing. Enjoy it.
you think this one can never win? Well, look at me, I'm coming back again. I got a taste of love in a simple way. You need to know I'm still standing, you just fade away. I'm still standing better every day. Looking like a true survivor, feel like a little kid. And I'm still standing after all this time. Picking up the pieces of my life without you on my mind. I'm still standing, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm still standing, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, teachers, you are all still standing at your institutions, right? From the comfort of your home or now going back to face-to-face classes. But we have been standing, we're still standing. And you know what? Oxford University Press and SBS Librería Internacional are always standing by your side. So thank you very, very much for having joined our proposal. Yes, and just before I close the presentation, here on this last slide, you have a QR code for you to scan, yeah, and share your feedback. But not only that, when you scan the code, you will receive a badge. It's a way of Oxford University Press pampering you a little bit more. Yeah, it's a badge that you will receive upon scanning the QR code. I'm going to go back to the QR code in a couple of minutes again, right? And so I invite you to proudly share your badge on social media. I encourage you to use the hashtag OUP webinar. And then you will get, and this is the added value, you will get a complete PDF document of the whole presentation I have just shared with you. But in order to do that, you have to, let me go back, to scan the QR code. Yeah, so I'm going to leave it there for a couple of seconds, right? Okay. The feedback will take you just a couple of seconds as well, but it's always very important for us as part of Oxford University Press and for me as a presenter to see what things we can improve. Yes, so please feel free to scan the QR code. Do that, and remember that you will get a PDF with the whole presentation we have just shared. And before I go, just in case you may not have heard of it, let me invite you to our ELT Global event, ELT Together, which is going to be held for 2 weeks in a row, starting on September 27th and finishing on October 9th. And yes, it's free of charge, of course, and you will have different strands for primary, secondary, and adults. Yeah, and I am very happy and honored to be sharing one presentation myself on October the 4th, yes, on teaching teenagers. That's going to be my presentation. So if you haven't heard of it, or if you have and you haven't registered yet, what are you waiting for? Yeah, it's all for you. So having said this, yes, thank you Oxford University Press for making this possible, for giving me the possibility to be here at this teacher development conference, TDC, organized by Librería Internacional SBS. So Team SBS, thank you very much. Now the presentation is over. Thank you very much. And now stay and enjoy my friend Luciana Fernandez. Enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you for joining us today. And I hope what I share with you is useful. It was fun, meaningful, and relevant. Thank you very much, Oxford University Press once again, and SBS. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gustavo. I think I saw a few comments in the chat box. And one of the words that jumped out at me about your presentation was wow. I saw that quite a few times in the chat box. So thank you, Gustavo, and thank you, Oxford University Press. Now, this is our final session of the TDC 2021. So we'll give a big welcome to Nat Geo Learning. National Geographic Learning's mission is to bring the world to the classroom and the classroom to life. With their English language programs, students learn about their world by experiencing it. Through the partnership with the National Geographic and TED, they develop the language and skills they need to be successful global citizens and leaders. So let's find out a bit more about Nat Geo Learning with this short video. Let's go, team.
At National Geographic Learning, we serve English learners by reflecting the mission and work of National Geographic in our programs. We are inspired by Alexander Graham Bell's original goal for the magazine to be about the world and all that is in it. And we try to bring the world to the classroom and the classroom to life. If you look at our learning programs, you'll see that they're like workbook versions of National Geographic, filled with incredible photography, fascinating stories, and the real work of explorers. Explorers in particular resonate with learners because the explorers' search for knowledge and understanding is the very essence of education. At National Geographic Learning, we believe it's an incredible world, and we want to share that with students. We want students to be filled with awe and curiosity by amazing photographs and stories of their world and all that is in it. Because we know that a curious student is a motivated student, and we believe that a motivated student will be a successful student. With our programs, we're always mindful that we're not just teaching vocabulary and grammar. We're opening up the world to students who have otherwise not experienced it. Students in China, Vietnam, Brazil, Saudi Arabia, Eastern Europe, literally everywhere. We want to help these students experience their world and develop their voices. Besides having great National Geographic content, we also work with TED Talks, and we are TED's exclusive partner in English language education. TED Talks are the single most widely sourced videos for English learners, popular both because of the ideas in the talks and because of the natural English used by both native and non-native TED speakers. Ultimately, the incredible content we have from National Geographic and TED enables us to develop programs that are relevant, motivating, and powerful learning tools that bring the world to the classroom and the classroom to life.
Thank you. Now, the theme coming up will be given by the renowned editor and consultant, Luciana Fernandez, talking about reimagining language classroom practices, blending the best of two worlds. Luciana Fernandez is a graduate teacher of English and a teacher educator who has 27 years experience in the field of education. She has specialized in methodology, teaching practice, early years education, literacy, and critical thinking. She holds a diploma in educational research from the University of Cambridge, Faculty of Education. She has also 2 postgraduate certifications in teaching for comprehension and thinking cultures from Fundaciones Colombia. Luciana has presented at numerous congresses and conventions both nationally and internationally, and was awarded the EdPuzzle Scholarship in 2016. At present, she is a senior academic consultant for National Geographic Learning and Trinity College London, Argentina, and she is an educational advisor at several schools. She has been both a teacher and head teacher at several institutions in Buenos Aires and has been a teacher trainer at ESAP, the English-speaking Scholastic Association of the River Plate, for the past 14 years. Welcome to TDC, Luciana.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. How are you doing? I'm super excited to be with you today. And what can I say? Coming right after my very good friend Gustavo Gonzalez. And it's my absolute pleasure to be part of this TDC once again. This time to be talking about reimagining language classroom practices. I really hope you enjoy this session, which I dare say is very much aligned with what Gustavo has been telling you. So we're going to be talking about reimagining language classroom practices, blending the best of two worlds. So if that's okay with everybody, we're going to get started, okay? So I wonder if you can see my slides now.
No, not yet. We can't see them yet.
I don't think you can you?
No, not yet.
All right. I wonder what I'm not doing properly. I'm sorry about that.
You just need to share on full screen mode.
Yes. I think I'm ready now. All right.
That's great. That's great.
Okay.
We can see it now.
Looks like we're absolutely ready now. Okay, I've been suffering a little bit. I'm not going to lie, but here we are. Absolutely ready to start. Thank you all for your patience. So everybody, welcome to Reimagining Language Classroom Practices, blending the best of two worlds. All right. My name is Luciana Fernandez, and I'm super happy to be talking to you on behalf of National Geographic Learning from Buenos Aires, Argentina. So, first thing I'm going to be doing with you is sharing my agenda for today. All right. Initially, what I want to do is share with you what is it that I wonder if I think you cannot see my slides properly. I'm really sorry about that. I'm really sorry about that. I'm going to give this a try once again. I apologize, but I'm having difficulties. So let me try one more time. I wonder if the team can. I'm awfully sorry.
Yeah, yes, that's it. We can
For
see
your
it now. We can
patience.
see it now. We can see it. Yep, that's great.
I'm awfully sorry. I don't think I know how to solve this.
Well, we can see it now.
I can see. I can now.
Yes, we
Oh
can
my
see it.
goodness. All right. So okay. Okay. Good. 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 There we go. So here we are. Let me share with you my agenda for today. Today we're gonna be starting with some initial thoughts as what is it that we have learned and what is it that we know now that we didn't know probably last year. We're going to be talking about two worlds, the traditional classroom and the online classroom. And why is it that I'm talking about two worlds? Then we will also be talking about two worlds colliding and what's going to happen as a result of this collision. We're going to be talking about hybrid and blended education, and we will hopefully get to some conclusions and we will be discussing some implications. So, what are the initial thoughts that we have for today, right? I think that the pandemic, very abruptly, let me say, has made us reflect upon how critical it is to move away from the model of school we have. I think as educators, we all knew that the educational system needed a change, but COVID-19 and the pandemic pushed us to reimagining the school of the future. And in this school, and this is the principle we're going to be discussing today, it's really very important that we understand that learning will not just be happening in the classrooms. And if you think about it, this is what had all of us in anguish initially. The fact that we were not with our students in the classroom and we were wondering what was happening. Now, the School of the Future really understands that learning happens, of course, in the classroom, but it also happens outside the classroom. And as Gustavo was very well saying, the School of the Future does rely on technology. Gustavo ended up his session saying we need to use technology, of course, but we need to know how to use technology for the sake of teaching efficiently and getting our students to learn. So these are some initial thoughts. And dear everybody, this is a feeling I have had all throughout this year and a half, that when it comes to the traditional classroom and the online classroom, it's as if we were talking about two separate worlds, two worlds apart. And I think that if we haven't changed our minds yet, we need to stop seeing traditional classroom instruction and online instruction as two worlds apart. And we need to start seeing this situation differently. So basically, what I want to do today with all of you is understanding that this is not a competition between one world and the other. This is not a matter of taking positions and saying, well, I really like face-to-face instruction more than online instruction. It's not about choosing. It's about understanding that there are good things in both worlds, and that probably the future of education will have to do with understanding that if we bring together the best of the two worlds, we're going to really move forward. At the end of this session, I'm going to be sharing my email address because if you want to send me an email, I'm going to be more than happy to share my slides with you. But basically, on the screen, I am using a Venn diagram to compare and contrast three modalities that probably you are already more than familiar with: online learning, face-to-face learning, and blended learning. It is not my intention to read what's inside each of these worlds, which is something that you can do afterwards with a copy of the presentation I'm going to be sharing. But basically, I want to address the differences quite quickly. Face-to-face learning, no online learning implied necessarily. Teaching takes place during the traditional school or university day. And of course, assignments can be completed electronically or traditional paper and pencil. Whereas online learning, of course, now face-to-face, heavily relies on internet connection. Assignments need to be completed electronically. Feedback has to be given electronically as well, using emails or the chat box or through a blog comment. But one of the things that I think is a main characteristic, and you teachers probably you can write something in the chat box as a response to this. Teachers really need to rely on verbal communication, because in the online environment, we can rely less on the non-verbal cues. And when I'm talking about non-verbal cues, I'm talking about that which happens in a face-to-face classroom, looking at your students' faces, their body language. Well, that has become a little bit more difficult in the online environment, because sometimes students don't even turn on their cameras, right? So that's a challenge. And then blended learning, of course, is a combination of face-to-face and online, all right? But more than paying attention to the differences when it comes to these modalities, I want to go straight to the heart of that Venn diagram, because that is what I'm interested in. Where these three worlds clash, what's the main similarity here? For any of these modalities to work, we need effective teachers. We need well-planned lessons. We need clear objectives, timely feedback, and effective assessment. No matter where we are, it's all going to be up to the teacher and how well the teacher has planned the lesson. Yes, David, it is a challenge. I absolutely agree. And I want to clarify, and I want to tell you, everybody, that I have selected all the images in my presentation on purpose. I am also very visual, Gustavo, as you said. And I found this image, and I said, I'm going to share this with teachers, because I told you that seeing online instruction and face-to-face instruction as two worlds apart is a mistake. And we need to start seeing these two worlds getting together. And I know that these are not worlds, they are bubbles. But this time we can see online instruction and face-to-face instruction as bubbles. And as you can see, they are coming together. Can you see? They are coming together. They are not apart. And I think this is definitely what started happening last year as the pandemic broke out. But one of the results of the blending of these two worlds is that we started hearing more and more about blended and hybrid education. And I want to tell you that initially, hybrid learning was something specific to a term specifically used to talk about synchronous lessons that were taught both remotely and live at the same time. I'm going to show you a photo in a minute. Whereas blended learning referred to education which actually integrated technology. If you want to have a clearer idea of what I'm talking about, the picture you've got on the screen right now is an example of a hybrid class. We've got the teacher together with the students in a physical classroom, but another part of the class is accessing the same class remotely. And in the same, not in the same, but in the next photo, we've got an example of blended education. We've got teachers and students in the classroom making use of technology. But somehow, and that's my intention for this presentation, I said that I was not going to talk about two worlds apart. And I said that I would be using the bubbles as if they were coming together. Do you remember? I think that at this point, still in the middle of uncertainty, you will agree with me, the two worlds have come together. They are not apart any longer. And according to researchers, these two worlds have collided. And instead of thinking of destruction as the result of that collision, I'm going to be talking to you about the birth of a completely new world, a new type of education that's probably going to be post-pandemic, but it's already happening. And I chose the image you've got on the screen on purpose also, because as you can see, we can see some trees and we can see the grass and we can see the sky, but we can also see that image upside down, can't you? And I chose this image because it illustrates very clearly what this shift in education is all gonna be about. The future of education is gonna be blending. It's gonna be flipping, and it's gonna be combining. These are three keywords you do want to pay attention to, people. We're going to be blending because this new world is two worlds that have come together. We're going to be flipping. That's why I have used a bubble with an image upside down. I'm going to be clarifying this in a second. And it's all about making combinations. So, dear everybody, what are we talking about? Luciana, a new world, the result of two worlds colliding. Hybrid instruction, dear everybody, or hybrid courses refer to the classes where teachers have carried out a careful plan blending both traditional classroom instruction and online learning activities. And I would like to highlight carefully planned. In other words, and this is at the very heart of this presentation today, hybrid classes combine the best of the two worlds. It's not about all going online and forgetting about what was already working. It's a combination of the two worlds, the best of two worlds, giving birth to a new type of education. How do you feel about that? So, I know, as some of you were saying, this is a challenge, right? So, some of you may have gone hybrid already. Some others probably are going hybrid, and some others are plucking up the courage to go hybrid. So, what is it that has been happening with teachers and institutions going hybrid? Well, mostly we have had the challenge of making our classes internet ready. And in this, many teachers had to adjust their class content, particularly the lecturing material. Gustavo talked about the Pickrat model, and I'm going to take on that later on. But the truth is that when we all started, and I'm using an inclusive we because it happened to all of us. When all of a sudden, overnight, we had to start teaching online, many of us started using technology, mostly replacing. What we were doing in the classroom, we were now using technology in order to replace. In that Pickrat model Gustavo was talking about, we all started in the comfort zone, where technology was mostly replacing and students were mostly passive. There's nothing wrong with that. It was the starting point. But in going hybrid, and yes, Benny, I think we can do it. We definitely can, and we have proved we can. Teachers starting trying out new things. Think about yourselves. Didn't you start trying out new things? And you started thinking about how you could make your materials more effective. And you also realized that as you were trying new technology, you started noticing that your students were more engaged, or that the digital tools that you were using proved to be more effective than what you were doing in the classroom. And most teachers, especially teachers with the experience of going hybrid, have been reporting that instead of having students like sitting down and taking down notes, because synchronous online classes were less and students had to do a little bit more on their own, they started being more actively involved. And what do we mean by this? The point is, dear everybody, yes, Natalia, I agree with you. Sometimes we're using too much technology and we are not making room for interaction. And I'm so happy, Natalia, that you're mentioning that, because we're going to be talking about that in a second. The good thing about hybrid classes, dear everybody, is that they encourage a set of skills which are skills for life. Since students are doing more things on their own, there is more room for self-directed learning. Since students are doing more on their own, there are more opportunities for study skills. Self-regulation, people, time management. I am a mother of 2 teenagers who at the very beginning of the pandemic found it very hard to get organized with time. And I know about colleagues who found it hard to get organized with time, because what happened before the pandemic? We had a schedule, and the schedule somehow organized us. And when classes are synchronous, you know that your class is at 3 from 3 to 4. But when you are dealing with asynchronous materials, tutorials, and videos, you do it at your own pace, and managing your time can be tough. Since students are doing more on their own, everybody, more critical thinking skills are taking place. And now, Natalia, I am going back to you. More interaction has been reported by teachers going hybrid. So today we're going to be talking about this. So Natalia, thank you for that. And you know what? Autonomy. Because more and more things are being done by students. Let me clarify something which I think is very important. All these skills will not happen overnight, and we teachers have a very critical role in teaching them, modeling, and making room for them, if you agree with me. So teachers who have been going hybrid are reporting the following. I so very much wanted to share with you what teachers are saying, because it's always nice to hear from colleagues, right? As I was telling you before, one of the things that the pandemic has given students the opportunity to do is to do more work on their own, because students couldn't be in front of a screen for the same amount of hours they were in the traditional classroom. So since they were doing more things on their own, they started being more actively involved and more involved in active learning. How amazing is that? But I want to, and notice that I have used red here, because what many teachers going hybrid, institutions going hybrid, have reported is that interaction increased. Students were participating more actively in hybrid classes, mostly because they seem to be more prepared for discussions. I am reading here that you hope you can go back to face-to-face classes very soon, and you know what? There's nothing like face-to-face classes and human contact, right? And seeing your students and being there, I couldn't agree more. But we cannot keep on thinking that we were going to go back to just that world and forget about the other one. Remember, we need to change and admit that a new world has appeared as a result of the collision of the two worlds. And at this very point, I need to go back to you, Natalia, because looks like hybrid classes have brought more opportunities for interaction. Let's see what we mean by that. I told you that one of the keywords, all right, one of the keywords when it comes to, and I'm pretty sure I've heard about the flipped classroom, but if you haven't, I'm not going to take it for granted and I'm going to clarify right now. The flipped classroom model presupposes the following. The moment when we are together with our students in the classroom, whether that classroom is the traditional classroom or an online classroom, the moment when we are together with our students, you will probably agree with me, is gold, isn't it? The moment when we are together is gold, because that is where I can get evidence of learning. That's where I can see my students in action. That is where I can truly monitor what's going on. So, since the moment when students are in the classroom is gold, the flipped classroom moment says, all right, we cannot do everything in that golden moment. In that golden moment, what we need to promote is interaction, Natalia, and everyone. And if I want students actively involved and actively interactive in my class, the flipped classroom model says, what can students do before on their own to prepare for that golden moment? And how can that golden moment, in a way, prepare students to keep on doing other things on their own or with others, but at home, out of class? So if you think about it, we are taking from the premise I discussed with you early on today. The new education understands that not all the learning is going to happen in the classroom, that there can be learning opportunities out of class. And if you think about this, and the moment I am an educational researcher, and I'm always reading and thinking about how I can accompany teachers with what research also suggests. And this got me, and I'm going back to Natalia because she brought the issue of interaction, but this made me do some research on interaction, and I wanted to share that with you. Interaction is very important. And as teachers, we need to pay attention to some interaction research fundamentals that I have brought for you. Many times, and I'm talking to language teachers now, right? Many times during our synchronous online class or when we are in the face-to-face classroom, we want students to interact and participate. And we ask questions and we bring triggers and we bring activities and we don't get them to interact very much, right? The thing is that there are some research fundamentals we cannot forget about. And I have brought them to you summarized. The first research fundamental says it is very important to pre-teach the task language people. One of the reasons why students sometimes don't feel comfortable or confident to interact is because they lack the words, they lack the vocabulary, or they lack the structures. We cannot take that for granted. We need to pre-teach it. Another research fundamental is providing support. Pre-teaching the language needed for the tasks that students will be doing in class is a way of supporting. But another very important way of supporting is by modeling what they have to do. Students are anxious. Students' affective filter is way up because they don't know what they are expected to do, and that can be threatening. But if you show me how, and if you give me the language tools, I'm going to feel more confident. The third research fundamental is that students need preparation time. They need to prepare for interaction. And here there's a confession to be made, dear teachers. How many times do we explain the activity, ask the question, and we expect students to interact there and then, and we don't give them this preparation time, which is so important? The other research fundamental of interaction is that we need to vary interaction, give the students the opportunity to work in pairs, in groups, as a whole class. But we also need to repeat the tasks, because the first time I engage students in a task, if it is the first time, they are not going to be that confident because it is the first time. But the second time, a third time, and a fourth time are going to build confidence. And last but not least, and I would say it's the most important of all the research fundamentals, provide a reason to interact. Bring topics that students are interested in. Allow your students to share their thoughts, their opinions, something. Allow them to relate personally to whatever you're bringing to the classroom, because that is how you're going to get them ignited. So when I was doing research about interaction and doing research on hybrid classes, all of a sudden I went like, this is it. When we are flipping the classroom, we are saying, I'm going to make the most of my classroom time. I want to see my students in action in that moment. So out of class, I'm going to prepare them. And this might be as simple as this. I might, for example, if I want to engage students in a set of activities in my online class, for example, I might send students as an asynchronous capsule, a video presenting the vocabulary, or I can even record myself pre-teaching the vocabulary and modeling the task. I will be showing students what is it that they will be expected to do in my class. They will see it. They will have the language. And in a way, I'm going to be giving them this preparation time. So when students come to my class, their affective filter is going to be lowered because there is somehow predictability, and also I have shared with them the language needed and I have modeled it. So we have to see it this way, dear everybody. We need to think about flipping the classroom and activities that we are doing in the classroom, whether it is face-to-face or online, as activities that combine the three types of interaction that exist. Because we need to remember these, dear teachers. There are three types of interaction. Students with the materials, students with students, and students with the teachers. If we flip the classroom, we might be asking our students to read something for the class, or they might be watching a video for next class, or I might be sending them, why not, a photo to work on, or a work of art, any trigger you want. So students are going to be viewing materials in preparation for the class, and that is how you're going to be engaging students in student content or student material interaction. Students will come to the class, whether it is face-to-face or online, and they will engage in these activities that you have planned for them. And that's how you're going to be engaging your students in student-student interaction. And in these discussions and activities, you're going to be the mediator. So you're also encouraging the third type of interaction, which is students with the teachers. Marco, I absolutely agree with you. And you were mentioning this word in your word cloud with Gustavo today, having empathy, right? Empathy is very important, putting ourselves in our students' shoes and empowering them, understanding that sometimes lack of interaction is the result of students not feeling secure enough to interact. And we teachers need to plan very carefully to cater for that. So, dear everybody, looks like the collision of the two worlds has brought upon the fact that we might be heading towards a hybrid learning model. And in this last section of my presentation today, I want to talk to you about which are the characteristics of hybrid learning, which you have in this infographic you've got on the screen. Face-to-face, personalization, blended learning, adaptive tools, social distancing, health and safety, flexible schedules, and remote learning tools. As I was saying before, the premise of a hybrid learning model is that we are combining, do you remember? We are combining traditional and non-traditional methodologies. We are combining, we are blending, we are flipping. Hybrid learning combines face-to-face and online teaching, but notice, dear teachers, that now, in bold, I'm saying that this should be a cohesive experience. What do we mean by this? We need to carefully ask ourselves, what of all the things that I need to do with my students, what can they do on their own in an asynchronous manner? And what is best to be done in class under my supervision? So basically, it's all about deciding when to do what, when is best to do what. And if I'm going to be asking students to do something on their own, what skills can I empower my students with so that that autonomy actually happens? I am a methodology teacher and I am very biased here, let me tell you, but I'm a strong believer that when a teacher has carefully and thoughtfully planned a lesson or a sequence of lessons, that is reflected on what happens in the classroom, whether it be online or traditional. So let's talk about the characteristics of the hybrid learning model. First, face-to-face, all right? And I am thinking about how one of you was saying this. I miss going, I hope we can go face-to-face soon. The consensus, the general consensus, is that high-quality instruction and effective pedagogy are facilitated best when students and educators are together. That's why I was telling you that the face-to-face moment is gold. The moment when we are together is gold. So the key point here is to utilize that moment as well as we can. And we need to remember, not everything will happen at school and with me, the teacher. So the decisions that I need to make is, what is best to happen when I am together with my students? It's all about making wise decisions. We all miss and have missed for too long being with our students, being together, this togetherness, the human aspect of education, of course. It's a very important part of the hybrid learning model, but there's more to say. The other aspect is personalization. Personalized learning moves from the content, the what, to the who. And there's a very important word here, which is agency. We need, dear teachers, as much as we can, to bring opportunities for voice, choice, path, pace, and place. How amazing is this? And this can only happen in a hybrid model. Think about something. If I tell you that we are having a synchronous online class at 3, well, it's at 3, and it's at 3, and that's it. But in a hybrid model, you need to prepare for the class before. I might be asking you to read something, to watch something, to do some research, prepare something for the class, and that's something that you're going to be doing at your own pace. That is something, and depending on what I'm asking you to do, you might have the freedom to select what you want to discuss. If I'm sending you, for example, something to read and I want you to share your opinion, I am showing you that your voice matters. And I am using a very powerful research fundamental, which is giving you a reason for interacting. So as much as you can, provide students with the possibility of choice. Do you know what I've been doing with some students? As a way of preparing them for the class discussion, I've been sending them options. I'm telling them that during the class, we're going to be talking about, I don't know, for example, endangered species. And I give them the possibility to search or interact with a number of information sources. And students have the possibility of choice. How amazing is that? Or you can tell them, I would like you to do some research, all right? You may choose to watch a video, you may choose to read a blog, you may choose to watch something on TV, why not? Or why not, you may also choose to interview somebody, and then you're going to be sharing your findings in class. So I'm giving you the possibility of choice. And that is how I am addressing this issue of personalization. Another aspect of the hybrid learning model is the blended aspect, of course. And of course, this means that if we are the type of educator that is lighting a candle, hoping that we go back to the normal, hoping to do away with technology because you are not a technology person, let me tell you, you need to change your mind. And you need to see that technology has come to stay, and technology is part of your students' lives. And the hybrid learning model incorporates technology. But just as Gustavo was saying before, and as one of you was also saying, it's not a matter of bringing technology without stopping to think for a second, what is it that we are doing with technology? And that is really important. And I was so glad that Gustavo talked about this, because somehow there seems to be a connecting thread between what he has been telling you and what I'm telling you now. We teachers moving towards a hybrid learning model need to use technology purposefully and strategically. And Gustavo talked about the Pickrat model, and by now you're all experts, so I'm not going to go deep into that. But I have brought something that will probably help you. And it is the Pickrat matrix, all right? And this is exactly what Gustavo was telling you before. What is the technology that I am using actually doing? We sometimes use technology just for replacing, and there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes technology is just replacing. The problem is just remaining in that part of the matrix, if you know what I mean. So when I was in the traditional classroom, I would write things on the board. Now I write things in a PowerPoint presentation and I share my screen. Technology is just replacing that. But as a history teacher, in the traditional classroom, I might have been reading with my students about the pyramids in Egypt from a book. But now I realize that there is the opportunity to go on a virtual tour on the visiting virtually the pyramids, and that's how I'm amplifying, all right? I might be now using technology as Gustavo did when he was using, for example, Menti with all of you. He used technology and he transformed the experience, because all of a sudden you were all simultaneously sharing your thoughts and opinions and enriching from the thoughts and opinions of others. How amazing is that? So my suggestion is that as you are going hybrid and as using technology, you stop to think where you are in the Pickrat matrix. What are you doing with the technology you are using? And if you are asking students to use technology, what's the role, all right? What is the role that the students are having? And Margarita, I just couldn't agree more with you, all right? This is understanding that the two worlds that have collided had differences, that actually they have differences, but they also have similarities. And now it's all about our absolute wisdom as for how we put these worlds together. Now, another aspect of the hybrid learning model is social distancing, right? Because even if we are going back to the classroom, okay, and for example, particularly in Argentina, we are now going back to the classroom, to the new normal, let's say. I don't know for how long, because this is the uncertainty we are in. But the fact that students are back in the classrooms has brought some changes, don't you agree? Because there is this thing called social distancing, especially those of you teaching young children. Do you remember playing games where the kids were touching and hugging? Or those of you having tables in your classroom where there were 10 or 11 students working together? Now that's not possible. So social distancing has to make us rethink about issues such as the seating arrangement, or the games and activities that can be or cannot be carried out because of social distancing issues. And so I found this and I thought it was so powerful and I wanted to share it with you guys. We need to shift from a system where time is the constant and learning is the variable to one where learning is the constant and time is the variable. How amazing is that? Learning is the constant. When and how? Those are things that as a teacher I have to carefully plan for. And so we are talking, okay? Yes, I absolutely agree. We need more ideas as for seating arrangement now with social distancing. Do send me an email because I've got some ideas to share with you. The typical seating arrangement we were using pre-pandemic, it's not working now and will not work for a long time. So here, dear teachers, we are talking about student-centeredness, right? A hybrid learning model is a student-centered model. And I want you to see which are the characteristics of student-centeredness. Learning anytime, anywhere, what we've been saying over and over. Positive relationships. Foundational needs being met. What is it that my students need to learn? What skills can I empower them with? A positive identity. Something that our students have proved that they lacked was the fact that they didn't know how to, they still probably don't know how to behave in an online environment. Have you noticed? When you go like, okay, do you remember in the traditional classroom when you needed classroom rules, the do's and the don'ts, the classroom constitution? The same is needed for the online environment, what we call the rules of netiquette. Tell them how to behave, what to do, what is an expected behavior. If as a teacher you are not feeling comfortable with cameras off, explain the ethos, explain why. Get students to own their learning, empower them with the skills that will make them autonomous, trust them, show them that you trust they can learn and do things on their own even if you're not there. And competency-based. Empower them with critical thinking skills, study skills, time management skills, and all those skills that receive the excellent name of being skills for life and careers. But this, dear teachers, also implies that there's going to be a change in your role. And all throughout the pandemic, I have heard people wondering, what's going to happen now that technology is replacing teachers? I don't know what you think about this, but I think I've got an answer for that. If your view of teaching is that your only role is to transmit knowledge, let me tell you that Google has already replaced you. But if you understand that your role is beyond the transmission of knowledge, and that you are the one who can teach, model, explain, and give opportunities for skills, then Google has not replaced you and will never replace you, and there will not be any technology replacing you at all. We are the ones who can teach our students to think logically, to do research quickly and efficiently, and so much more. Our students will and live in the information era. They have 24/7 access to information, but they don't have the skills to navigate that world of information efficiently. We have a critical role there. So when we are talking about a student-centered education, we are talking about students, empowering students with the skills that they need to be able to be content critical thinkers, content creators, and actually to question the content they access. So, dear teachers, a hybrid education model in action has these pillars that you've got on the screen right now. Time in the classroom. What's going to happen in that time in the classroom? Decide. Remember, it's gold. What is it that students will be doing online? Yes, we are facilitators. Sometimes we are the ones who are transmitting knowledge. Sometimes we are moderators. Sometimes we are co-learners. We're going to have a variety of roles. And collaboration, which is another word that Gustavo mentioned today. So this is something that you do want to read on your own. That's why I'm telling you, send me an email so that I can share this with you. Because there are different ways of going hybrid. I'm not going to read this, but I have included this because I really want you to read it on your own. There are different hybrid models, and you can read which one is going to be the one that suits your context best. There is the differentiated model. Students at home and in person engage synchronously on the same lesson, all right? That's one way. The multi-track model. Students work on the same lesson, but they are divided into cohorts. So you divide students access the same material, but those two groups don't interact. That's another model. The split A-B model. Students alternate days between being at home and being in person. This is what has been happening, for example, lately in my country with this system of bubbles, you know? The virtual accommodation model. If there is a small group at home, and then they can function as a virtual small group, but use video chat, and they join the in-person classroom. So I have some of my students with me in the physical classroom and a small group joining from home. Or the independent project model. When a face-to-face lesson does not work, okay, and only some students can work virtually on a project. Now, you might read this then on your own and say, this is the model that goes with me now. This is where I am now. But remember, the pandemic is not over. And I think it will not be over for some time. And our scenario might be changing. So one of the words that appeared in the word cloud that you worked on with Gustavo was flexibility. My goodness, that we need flexibility as teachers. And so getting to the end, intentionality is critical if we really want to go for a hybrid learning system. And dear teachers, we need to be ready for different scenarios. We might be in scenario number 1, 100% attendance in buildings, what we are all hoping for. Live in-person instruction, practical social distancing with the proper health practices. That is one scenario. But that scenario can change. And we can have a hybrid model. Partial in buildings. Partial live, partial in-person instruction. Deal with social distancing health practices. But we can be one day in another model, the diversified hybrid model, with partial attendance based on formative assessment. What does this mean? We have created the groups that are attending the building and the ones that are staying at home based on the needs and characteristics of students that we have been assessing. Or we might be in a remote learning model, fully remote because we are all in lockdown. So what is the message that I've got for you? No matter what scenario, you need to be ready for that. And you need to combine, blend, and flip. And I would like to reach the end of my presentation today, dear everybody. And please, if you have any questions or comments, we are moving on to that moment now. I would like to close my session today by sharing with you a poem written by a teacher trainee of mine. And the poem is called To Teach or to Reach. To teach or to reach, that is the question. Whether it is better for the mind to be filled and bombarded by lists, dates, and notions, or to be spurred and ignited by why nots and emotions. To teach or to reach, that is the question. Whether it is better for the kid to be caged and kept in a cute, comfy class, or to be pushed to spread wings and dare to drift and try and err, while we watch and guide, always alert. To teach or to reach, to give or to incite, to make them repeat or let them design, to force them to follow or move them to lead, to avoid the unknown or embrace what is free. I am absolutely positive and certain that you are going more for reaching than teaching, and that you are absolutely ready to go hybrid and to move towards this new world that the pandemic has urged, but that was so necessary, I believe. We all understood and knew that the educational system needed a change. COVID-19 and the pandemic urged it, but it was absolutely necessary. So dear everybody, I have now made it to the end of my session. I would like to share with you my email address. And please do send me an email, and I'm going to be more than happy to share with you all a copy of my presentation. And that's how we can remain in contact as well, which is something that I really look forward to. So thank you very much, SBS, for making it possible for me to be part of this amazing event. And of course, thank you, National Geographic Learning, for making it possible for me to be sharing with this group of fantastic teachers. Thank you so much, everybody. I look forward to your comments and questions now, of course. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much for your lovely comments. Thank you very much. Is there any question? Thank you so much, Carmen. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. That's very kind of you. Thank you so much. Hey, very good friends. Thank you so much. It's been just a blessing to be with you today. Take good care of yourselves. And remember, you are the agents of change, dear teachers. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Hey, thank you so much. I'm happy to read everything was clear. Thank you so much, everyone. My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Luciana Fernandez. And thank you, Nat Geo
And I'm very
Learning,
sorry for my
this
technical
excellent
problem.
talk.
I apologize for that.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you
very
so
much.
for such lovely comments. I'm so happy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So we have reached the end of our TDC 2021. And we want to first of all thank all the speakers, the consultants, and the publishers who have participated. But we want to thank especially you, the international community of English teachers, who have been connected these last 2 days with the sole objective of expanding your knowledge and develop your educational work, despite the circumstances of the last 2 years. We are sure that you will be very well prepared to continue to respond to the challenges that are presented to us today and also in the near future with the return to face-to-face classes and all the opportunities that this represents. Now, again, we remind you that to obtain the certificate of attendance, you must be registered and have attended 70% of the TDC conferences. That is to say, at least 5 conferences. All registered participants will receive an email with a link so that you can register your information for the certificate. If you have still not registered, please do it now. Thank you very much and have a nice Saturday evening and a great weekend. And we would all see you next year with a face-to-face TDC. Bye.